Sweat Equity Podcast, the number one business/comedy podcast in the world. Pragmatic entrepreneurial advice with real raw dog talk. Why am I doing this intro from what looks like a forest? Well, we messed up scheduling snafu. It's spring break. Eric and I both have kids. And Eric is out for the count because he got a second vasectomy. He just is very thorough. He wanted to get that done. So we're going to do a little swapcast. I was interviewed on my friend Brittany's podcast, Daily Dose of B. Get it? Like B could mean a lot of things. Like female dog stuff, I think. Or maybe butt stuff. I don't know. Anyway, if you like this episode, but probably more of the other episodes we have with CEOs, executives, entrepreneurs, share it with a friend, loved one, family member that you don't talk to. This is your mom's favorite podcast. She listens to it on her Sony Walkman and she loves it. I'm wearing my own merch. You can check that out on our store, sweatequitypod.com/store or /merch, one of the two. You get to sweatequitypod.com, you get there. And this episode, I'm waving at a dude walking by. Episode sponsored by Squarespace. An all-in-one platform to make a website without having to program. But if you wanted to do some custom code like I do, because I'm a baller, I'm a Squarespace baller, dude, you can customize it as much as you want. But for most of y'all, you don't want to have to program, and you can use your tiny little paws to have a content management system, a CMS, like Squarespace. Don't fuck with WordPress or Weebly or Wix. Squarespace is the shiz. They got Fluid Engine, where basically everything on the website is a template and it's on a grid, like old school math grid paper. Holler if you hear me. Let's get into this Swapcast episode. Hotty toddy!
It's called sweat equity. Sweat equity. Sweat equity. Sweat equity. Sweat equity.
You are listening to the Sweat Equity Podcast.
Welcome to the Daily Dose of B podcast. I'm your host, Brittany, and I'm about to give you a window into the mind of yours truly. In a world where journaling is passé and self-awareness is deficient among us all, here's your Daily Dose of B.
Right. Hopefully, if not, bear with us because the episode's going to be awesome, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. We'll do our best for you guys, but
anyway,
it's all Tatiana's fault.
I'm Tatiana. This is Brittany. She just outed the heck out of me, and we have an awesome guest today. And we can't wait to find out what the heck you do, because I know that you have an awesome podcast, which I just listened to. I'm a brand new fan, FYI. So tell us about yourself, a little about your podcast, who you are, what you do.
My name's Law Smith. I'm a comedian. I'm a strategy advisor during the day, and I have a podcast, Sweat Equity. It's kind of a mend of the two things, comedy meets entrepreneurship kind of talk, real talk. I just want to say this is a great idea to do this on the iPhone in the biggest room you have in the house.
I thought so too.
The cavernous part of this, you fix it in post, right?
It'll be fine. You'll just hear the echoes of this cave, and then you'll know.
We have good editing skills.
I don't have a voice that carries, so I'll try to. I need a mic. That's when I'm on a podcast or doing stand up. Excuse me. That was what was that? The paleo cookie.
Here, don't blame the paleo cookie for what?
For burping, yeah. But I did bring my white trash, excellent drink, because he said, "What do you want to drink beforehand?" And I was like, "Here's the best drink. It's hard to make." I even got my fanciest gay friend to enjoy it. He's a fancy old gay, and would not put up, like, you go to his house for a dinner party, you have to sing for your supper. kind of thing. And so it's diet or zero sugar Canada Dry.
It's different name.
Lemonade with what's it called? Diet ginger ale and lemonade with Tito's. Super white trash. I know it sounds that way, but it's the best drink.
And it looks that way also.
It looks that way. It looks like you've had a couple of glasses of water and you peed it out.
Literally.
Yeah, or like you're drinking Pinot Grigio or something.
So you can really pretend it is whatever you want it to be. It could be pee, it could be wine, it could be your white trash drink.
That's very nice.
And it's in a wine glass. So.
To imagine whatever I want it to be.
Cheers to you.
Well, my mom literally the other day said she stopped asking me if I want to be an attorney or a doctor. I'm 37, so I think she's like kind of giving up. She said, "Why don't you become an Imagineer?" And I was like, "Huh? What's that?" That's what that sounded like to me. You can imagine. You can make it imagine whatever you want it to be. I'm like, "What the fuck is an Imagineer?" And she said, "Disney hires people to be Imagineers." And I go, "How much imaginary grad school do you have to go to do that? Like an Imagineer?" I don't know.
That seems like a lot of work.
Well, and I'm pretty sure they don't make a lot. I hear working for Disney actually isn't necessarily worth it unless you're like way up there.
And I like Jews, so
Oh, yikes. Well, you can't work for Disney then.
You're out.
There seems to be. Well, I'm the most Jewish Gentile I've been called. So I love my Jewish friends. I love the Jewish culture, I kind of look Jewish in a way. No, this is a great setup.
Well, you're going to have to enjoy it because we made up for what we lack in microphone, we made up for in snacks.
Yeah, for
right,
real.
exactly.
Easily the best spread I've had coming into a podcast.
I just want to let you know this isn't just for you. I mean, it is for you, but like we do this on the regular. This isn't just to make up for a lack of equipment that I totally royally screwed us.
Yeah, what if we would have had this and equipment?
I'm going to imagine there's equipment here.
Yeah, like,
let's
imagine. Well, now that we have all right, so we have an Imagineer on our podcast today.
No. Ask him his most important first question.
Already?
Yeah.
The first
question.
No,
it's not very big. It gets the job
done.
Oh,
No. Please don't tell us. Please don't tell us.
Okay.
So
it's more like a skull.
Oh,
can.
geez, no. All right, we're just editing all of that out. No, just kidding. So we like to ask people.
I've never had any complaints.
Okay, thank you. You had to get it out.
I'm Imagineering. Right. Oh my god.
Why is it his Imagineer?
You got to do all the foreplay beforehand. That makes up for all the
How
bad
do we segue away?
I don't know. Well, the thing we like to ask people who are on our podcast is that since the name of our podcast is Glass Ceiling Girls. We believe that everyone had to break through a glass ceiling in their life, like some really big thing that they didn't think they could get through that was really challenging to like become their higher self.
Okay.
So if you can think back to what that is for you, you can even have several if you want.
Well, one big one comes to mind. It's about the time you and I met, which I was going through a bad divorce and kind of had to deal with a lot of the psychological part of it because my family did a mental health intervention on me by all the bad intel they were getting from my now ex-wife, and it kind of came to fruition in there. And I think when you and I met, what was it, like 2018, 2019?
Yep.
So I was going through, in the divorce time, what people don't realize, and I didn't realize until I went through it, is like the pre-separation is probably the worst time because you're still living with a person, you hate their guts, they hate you. But you're still, if you have kids, you're still usually living in the same place. And so when you and I met, you were starting this podcast I think starting this podcast back in the day in my office. And I was just trying to hold it all together because I was like, I believed what she was telling me was true. My ex-wife, like I'm a bad father, bad husband, bad brother, bad son. Because I thought she was reflecting me back better than I could because she used to be able to do that. But I kind of lost my sense of self, did a lot of therapy, kind of came through on the other side. And I'm kind of an aggressive optimist. So I'm like, with every bad, there's a good. And the good thing out of that is you can't take me any lower psychologically. I was never in like the suicide area, but I'd say that's probably the lowest of low for that. But
Maybe in the suicide area, like you were hovering above.
I'm talking psychologically. If we're doing like a scale, like that's probably the lowest part where you think you're not worthy enough, you think you have nothing
to live.
The world's
So you always
better
still
off
had
without
something to
you.
live
So I was like just above that line. I never thought about any of that stuff, but it was definitely, took me a couple of years to get out of that. And, you know, I look at it now like now I look at it almost like a blessing because there's nothing that there's no worse situation to be in. And now I'm prepared for it. So I've dated women that have tried to do some projecting on me. And I'm like, sucks for you. I have like a PhD in this now.
This isn't gonna work.
Right.
a PhD in narcissistic exes. Cool.
I grew up all around women, so like I'll sit and listen to anybody and validate how they're feeling, but when it keeps projecting out back towards me, I would just be like, again, sorry, like this isn't gonna work kind of thing. So I would say, you know, I'm still getting out of that financial hell, post-divorce, sad dad pad. We were talking about off air before we started, and but I see the forest for the trees, so it's all good now.
So we're in a better place and moving on.
I should have started with a funny answer, but
No, I like that. I like it. No, it's so good because I think a lot of our like listener group can relate to that in some way or another, like a bad breakup. Because it can be such like a psychological warfare. I mean,
100%.
Deeply
negative 100K starting out after that. So, yeah. So no assets, nothing. Just in the whole negative 100K.
And still have to
with,
co-parent.
Like, no cash flow. Yeah. I'm still having. So I'll be out of all of that debt by the end of this year. But,
which is to be at zero.
It's yeah, just to get out of that shit, which is fine. That's part of it. It'll make me better at the end. So
yeah, and that's what glass ceilings are all about. Once you get through them, and you know, it's about the learning experience on the other side. So
right. And honestly, if I didn't have our podcast, it would have been a lot harder because it was like the only thing every week that I had to show up for, kind of thing in the last 5 years.
I was going to ask when you started that, and so that was already a thing before the divorce.
We it came up as in the ultimatum list of things my family wanted me to stop doing. Like they did it. I'm the worst guy to do that too because it was like I've watched every episode of Intervention, and so I know the template. It's like, all right, if you got one piece of paper, the first part's like when you're a kid you were this way, and that'll be like the first fourth of it. Then it'll be like when you're an adult, these are all good things. You know, you're this, this, and this. Then halfway through the paper, it'll be like, here comes the big but. But now you're this, you're this, you're this. And then the last fourth of the paper, the template is like, if it's one piece of paper, is like, will you do these things, blah, blah, blah. And they gave me an ultimatum list, close down my business, turn off social media, which didn't make sense because they didn't really know what I did. I do a lot of paid advertising and social media for clients, so that was out. Like shut down my business, shut down the office I had. I was like, I can't just jump out of a lease that I just signed for a year, unless you guys want to pay for it.
Right.
And it was a cheap office. It was like $10,000, but for the year. But it was like, if you really want me to do that, here you go, take that bill. And ultimatums don't work ultimately, you know. And then, so after that point, I went to our third or fourth marriage counselor. We went to 4. And a lot of people think I'm impatient. I like to bitch about the small things because I think it's funny. But when it comes to really being patient, I feel like I'm pretty goddamn patient. And was like, I'll do a 13-week evaluation with one of the therapists we already saw. By the way, 4 marriage counselors. And the whole first... Every time we had a marriage counselor, the first meeting was just letting her talk for an hour, and then I'd be like, none of that. A lot of that's farcical. And then, all right, well, that's the session. That's how you would begin every one of them, you know?
What a waste of time.
Well,
I don't know. I've never been to marriage counseling, but
at the time I thought it was cathartic for her to maybe let that out.
Okay, fair.
But I could repeat it verbatim by the time we got to the 4th one.
Okay.
And then the 4th one we had, she thought I wasn't listening, and I was just like sitting, just like I've heard this so much, and I think you can lie to yourself so much that you think it's true in a lot of ways. So I was like, I know the script, I know I could repeat it back. So I just my body language was probably really poor, but then the therapist was like, well, see, he's not even paying attention. And I go, I'm going to repeat back everything she just said in a Cliff Notes way. And I did it. And she was like, okay, well, the session's up. And I was just like, the fuck? The next session we went into, the therapist, she's terrible. She shouldn't have been a therapist. She was late in her own office. She was there.
Oh, yeah, I had a therapist like that, too, in Tampa, actually, that was literally late to every single session in her own office.
I called her out on it. I go, do you think that's a good business model? Do you think that builds trust in us for when you're late and you're actually present? You're here. You're late because of some other bullshit. And so, yeah, I got into business mode once her and I started spatting. But it was like, she was like, now I've got on my notes, and she read back everything that this, and this happened. I go, you didn't hear anything I said, did you? And she was like, what? And I was like, I told you exactly what she said back. Your note said I wasn't listening. I don't think you retained anything. You can hold a reservation, or you can make a reservation, you just can't hold a reservation. It's an old Seinfeld joke. And so, so I went back to my third of fourth marriage counselors, went to him, did like goodwill hunting sessions, like 13 weeks in a row. When I didn't have the time or money to do it, I still did it. And he was like, there's nothing wrong with you. And so, it was one of those things where that was a whole bad situation. It was stressful. I was holding on to a business that was like crumbling because of my mental capacity. Mm-hmm. And then because of all the baby mama drama. And then like that was something that was validating that came out of it.
That's good. That you at least did get somebody that validated you.
No, he would try me. He'd be like, he'd wait till like minute 57 of the hour and be like, what if you had to do a sculpture of your family, what would that look like? And I'm like, what? And he's like, if you had to make a sculpture of your family, I'm like, I don't know, like tallest to shortest. What do you want? And I come back next week, and he'd be like, he would try a theory on me. He'd be like, no. I'd be like, well, it looks like this. And I had everybody kind of in a linear kind of way, like a picture on Christmas or something. He's like, no, I think you like it with your family all around you and you in the middle. I think you like this attention. And I was like, you're completely way off. And we would discuss that. So he was like, he's like the dickhead with the heart of gold.
So he tried
at least was listening to you.
No, he did. He would ask like, what's your definition of masculinity and femininity? And I would take a minute to kind of think about it. And I was like, I don't know. And me taking a minute, he'd be like, you're a perfectionist. And I go, well, I was like, clearly I'm not a perfectionist if you see what I'm wearing. And he's like, no, like you would wait till the last minute. So you're in college, you have to write a paper. You've got, your professor tells you to do 2 pages every week for 6 weeks. You have to do a 12-page paper, right? You would wait till the last 2 days or day and write it all in the last second. And I was like, yep, pretty much. And he's like, you get a C+ on it, but you would tell everybody you could have gotten an A if you did it like the people in the class did it, got an A. And I was like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, that's me as well.
And I was like, and he's like, because if you did it the way the professor told you to do it and you got a D, you would have been devastated. And I was like, man. And I was like, God damn it. He's probably right. So, stuff like that where I didn't want to go through an evaluation, but I got stuff out of it at the end. So
that was hard to subject yourself to.
Sure. I mean, stand-up is you're your own worst critic all the time. So
I was going to say, there's a lot of self-loathing, I think, that goes along with being in stand-up comedy, usually. A
little bit, yeah. I mean, if you come off stage and you're like, fucking nailed it, murdered, like, I'm the best, it's probably not a good sign.
I've been watching stand-up at this local brewery the past month, I want to say, every single week. No, in Bine Brewery in Palm Harbor. Yeah. So I've been going every Wednesday with my fiance, and we stumbled into it on accident one Wednesday, and like now we're obsessed because Wednesdays are date nights. So we've been going every single Wednesday.
I'll be there this Wednesday.
Will you? We will be there.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So he's gonna go up eventually too, because he's really funny, and he's not gonna script it or anything, and he's so like that he doesn't care.
He should probably script it.
I tell him that too, but he doesn't want. But listen, if he scripts it and fails, then he can like blame it on that, and if he goes up there and wings it, he could be like, well, I didn't script anything, So
he'll go a lot faster than he wants to.
Oh, I'm sure. And 3 minutes is probably a lot, because you get 3 minutes up there, and it's probably a lot longer.
I mean, my little sister just did stand up for the very first time. They're all supposed to get, listen, you're supposed to get 5 minutes. There was no one else who signed up. They gave her 25 minutes.
Wait,
on the
there?
stage. No, not there. At Steep Station in St. Pete.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And she stood up there for 25 minutes making mom jokes. And I was like, good for you.
That's awesome. And actually, that's probably hilarious. I would love to go see a freaking comedian making mom jokes, because I haven't seen that one yet. But
she has like a whole like joke about constipation, which I'm like, you're so bold to do 5 full minutes of you talking about being constipated.
Oh my God, I'm dragging her to Bine, and I hope you come. But what I was going to say,
Mom Jeans, Christina P's new special. You should check out if you want the constipation mom jokes.
Oh, I will.
Yeah,
I'm all for the constipation.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No. All I was gonna say is the funniest jokes, I think, were when people go up there and they kind of bomb it, and then they start making fun of themselves about how bad they're bombing. They're like, "Oh, well, I tried," or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we start cracking up.
I feel like that gets a little old. I feel
That's
like
good. Yeah,
I've only been going for a month, and it's not old to me yet. So that's
good for a while. But then you'll become like kind of a maverick in the audience. You'll be like, "Okay, this person didn't prepare. Like you can start telling stuff. Like I go up with nothing, but I've been doing that for years. So
right.
You go up with literally nothing every time.
I try to.
Wow.
Because it's fun.
I think that's what Travis thinks too.
Do you think of like in the moment you just think of like funny things that you could just observe, or you try and like read the room type of thing?
So what's going on in the room? Sometimes you get a vibe in the room when you walk in. So if you walk into a comedy club, I'll always try to like kind of a weird corny kind of your mom's friend that loves crystals kind of way, kind of feel the room. Like I'll feel the energy of the room.
It's us. I know.
You guys are my mom's friends? Right.
I love
There's
crystals.
that hand up there has crystals in it. Okay.
Well, I don't see any turquoise jewelry on you guys yet.
Lapis lazuli. It's
Lapis lazuli. Yep.
He doesn't even know what it is. But
I do.
He's preaching to the choir.
I know what it is. It's a color that's unique. That's also a crystal.
There you go.
I grew up around women. You gotta remember that part. I know I'm very much an alpha male, but I grew up around.
You can't even say that with a straight
I really
face.
grew up around a lot of alpha women. So like I watched like Golden Girls and shit, which is also one of the best sitcoms still. But like I had to watch like Terms of Endearment and any Deborah Winger movie that'll make you cry, Beaches. Before I got to see like Terminator or Die Hard or any of that shit.
Good. They softened
You have a
it.
real good base here.
Yeah, it's really great watching like, why is everybody in a bad mood and why is everybody crying?
That's so true. That's like, honestly, I think
We
now
watch
like
this because we want to cry, and you're like, what?
You know what's so funny? I've like noticed now as a mother, like I used to think like, why is my mom always like in an extreme mood? Like she was either very frustrated or like bawling about something. And I remember thinking as a child, like, what's wrong with this emotionally disturbed? It's not that bad here in life. But now as an actual adult, I'm like in the kitchen, like cooking. Like, I don't know all my life stresses.
It's the onions.
Now, if I watch Big Fish, the end of Big Fish or Interstellar, I'll bawl my eyes out. But I don't look for that.
That should be in your shtick.
See, sometimes I'm like, I just need like a good cry, and then I'll go listen to a bunch of sad music, which may not even pertain to my life, but sometimes you just need to like the release.
I get that.
And it's very like seldom, at least I feel that way. But
like sad country every now and again.
I love sad country.
Like,
I love storytelling.
But like real country, not like radio country.
Yeah.
Like Texas country.
Give me your sad country song go-to.
There's a Jason Boland song. God, I can't remember the name of it now. But it's like a ballad that you're like, this is about, like I had it on in the car and a friend came in and he's like, you okay? I was like, oh no, I just like the song. It's a really well written song. I don't know, there's a lot of Chris Ledoux songs, a lot of, who else? Mickey and the Motor Cars is kind of,
Haven't heard any of these people.
they're all like the kind of Texas Austin country.
Interesting. You're like an indie country man.
Yeah, I've been for a while.
Wow. Learning new things.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Didn't know.
Yeah, because
But I've also like been weirdly avoiding hanging out with you, so that's probably why.
That's a fact. That's fair.
Not on purpose, really. It just hits me in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
But you were saying that like you read the room and then you kind of just gather intel on the people in the room.
Yeah, you read the room, like that place, Bine Brewery, that Matt Fernandez puts the show on. It's a booked open mic, but like I forget how red that room is, so there'll be a lot of like MAGA people in there.
Ooh.
So
and
like,
literally the dude last night was making a bunch of MAGA jokes, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so
it was
like
super.
I'll forget that because most rooms you go into are very liberal, mostly or tend to be liberal leaning, and so I'll go in there and I was just talking about DeSantis, and I wasn't really the governor of Florida, and I was just saying like, just bringing him up was like, yeah, woo, and I was like, oh, I forgot, and then talk about how I forgot about that on stage, and I was like, I should have noticed the golf carts out front.
Oh my god, that's so great.
Well, it's off a highway, but it's a brewery, so there's like dirty bearded guys that work there that you think love like grunge music, you know. And
Probably voted for Obama.
And there's some hot older mom like bartenders that work there, and it feels like a very liberal setup because the background's very artsy and all that stuff. And then I forget, most of the people in here are probably Republicans. So I'm not really political one way or the other. I hate both sides. I just look at DeSantis as like he did a good job, I think, in the lockdown. Making sure everything opened up, because I think the economic part of, I didn't say it this way, but I do think the economic part of the lockdown was probably the worst part of it.
Yes, so true.
But we're watching him get into wrestler mode. Mm. Like he like hates masks, like aggressively, like a mask raped him or something. So I just was talking about how he's getting into that WWE like territory, where he's becoming a wrestler in front of our eyes.
That's so funny.
And so that's a thought I had. Like,
I love Daddy DeSantis, but I still think that's true.
Oh, right. I think he's really jumping the shark in a way right now, and we're watching it slowly happen. And like, you know, he's getting aggressive with Disneyland, or Disney World, where I can't be an Imagineer if the tax prices go up on that like plot of land, which I didn't know was a thing, or the Don't Say Gay bill, which is PR'd in a very poor way, I'd say. I have nothing wrong with that bill, but the way it's called, the Don't Say Gay bill.
But that's orchestrated also, right? It's like, how can we make people hate this? Call it the Don't Say Gay bill,
right? And if you don't read into it,
you're like, fuck that bill.
Right, it definitely sounds horrible, but it's like, oh, you don't want teachers explaining shit to young kids.
Like under third grade, right?
So you'll have thought when you do stand up. So I have a lot of thoughts I'll write down. I use Evernote on my phone religiously. And as I was driving around, I had the thought about DeSantis like days before I went on stage, and then it would get into the teacher thing with the Don't Say Gay bill, and I'd be like, remember when we wanted teachers to have guns? Now, that's like a thought I had a long time ago. I was like, think of all the teachers you've had. Do you want any of them to have a gun on the premises? Let alone explain to kids about sexual orientation and everything when they're 5?
With their gun in their freaking pocket? Jesus Christ.
Right. Yeah, but my fucking teacher could never get a goddamn VHS to work.
Right.
Let alone a Glock hidden under the table.
The overhead projector is always fucking up.
Oh my god, always.
I'd have the blowback from that, right?
We're playing Heads Up 7 Up. Forget it, kids.
Where's the Asian kid? Come here, help me fix this.
This gun. Like, where's the MAGA kid? He's probably shot some gun.
Press the tracking button on the VHS.
Plug it in.
Right. Yeah. So stuff like that. So it's a little. It's not completely 100% improv, but it is like.
In the moment, you let it lead
I've definitely not written anything down.
So it's like you have the jokes. It's just where you choose to apply them.
Right. Well, so I heard about Jim Carrey a long time ago. He did a thing one summer at the Comedy Store before he was famous. I want to say like 88, 89 or something like that. And he did a summer where he got up every night without anything written to see if he could do that. So like 10 years ago, I started doing that. Like, how far can I go without having to do a joke? Like a game within a game.
It's like building that muscle. That's
Right.
also what.
But now I've gone way too much that way because I'm a lazy writer, and now I need to work on probably writing jokes.
being able to write them.
But I cut you off.
No, I was gonna say that's also. I was watching a long time ago at this point a documentary on Lil Wayne before I think he got into all the drugs, and I don't know. I'm not a fan of him, but he wrote. Him now, we don't even have to get into that, but him now, like I don't even know what's going on.
Very strange. Like, wasn't he like
extremely
Hillary Clinton's BFF? I don't even know.
I don't know. I think he's on a whole lot of drugs and they just really messed him up. But he like actually tested as a genius and he wrote, I'm going to totally lie to you here because I have no idea, but like his first few albums or songs or whatever, like he didn't write them down.
Yeah.
And they're lyrically so beautiful that these things would just come off top of his head and like he refused to write any of it down. Like so, and it was just working that memory or that muscle.
So a lot of rappers, I compare stand up to rap as the closest thing, even because it's like you're writing your own thoughts down. You're hoping people feel it when you say it out loud to someone. But I also think we're bad students, so we're not like academically good students. Like I was C+ until I got into business classes, then I got all A's and B's, entrepreneurship classes. Like that kind of clicked for me. But I struggled as a student, and because of like not being able to regurgitate a lot of stuff, right? So
you're more of an off the cuff person.
Or even worse, I would get a C+ on a test. I'd look up what I got wrong on the test, and then I'd remember what I got wrong later. So I actually was doing the academic part like in a very pure way, but I didn't get the credit for it.
Right. That's why tests suck.
That's why school in general sucks, like traditional school.
My entrepreneurship program was like, you're going to go write a business plan for a crematorium outside of the city. And you're like, what? I don't know how to do that. I don't even know how to write a business plan. And then you have to just figure out all this shit. And that was
on
like...
the fly, and you like that?
A little bit, but it was like, that's part of the program. Being an entrepreneur is, there's no...
roadmap.
Right.
There's no linear map. Yeah, there's no...
Oh, preach it. We say that all the time.
It's all about failures and learning from that. And the first thing we handed in was like a dog shit. And he was like, go figure this out because this is garbage. And we were like, okay. And not knowing anything about a crematorium or a dolphin boat or whatever, a trailer park community, like all these things I had to write business plans for. You have to research, analyze that, put it out there in that kind of format that you needed in to get funding. But that's entrepreneurship to a degree. And stand-ups, rappers, you can ask 10 comedians how they write jokes and you're going to get 10 different answers.
Right. It's whatever works for you. And
right, it won't even work for you. Even if you're like, oh, this is what I do. Because I know Kevin Hart writes. He's a writer, and he's someone who like combs over. Well, now
because one of my friends is one of his.
I was gonna say now, but I mean like originally, like he was like that was something that he poured over his content, right?
He started in Philly. He did all the shitty shows. He started with Big J. Oakerson and Keith Robinson, and they would drive to New York all the time. But he wanted to be a mogul. He wanted to be bigger than... And
what he is. Right. He manifested that shit.
He's got a crazy hustle, though. Like, yeah. I don't think that guy sleeps. He's like natural out of it.
I love it. I literally, I admire him so much. Not just as a comedian, but as a human being. But I think one thing that's really interesting is how hard he works at his jokes, which I think is really interesting. Because someone like that, I feel like there are lots of other people who are equally as funny, who are like, yeah, I go out there and just fucking say shit.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny, and it's interesting, and it's appealing, and you follow it, and you like it just as much. Whereas Kevin Hart is like long, like very long, where you're not laughing for minutes and minutes and minutes. You're kind of like, is this gonna be funny? And then somehow at the end, it's so
it wraps it right back up.
He has like that joke about the dog like that pooped, where he's like telling the story or he thinks it's his dog, or he like is walking around trying to figure out who shit. And he's like, whose shit is this? Like, the baby has a clean diaper, like, right. Nobody, and it's this, and he's like, he put the dog in the crates, he's like, obviously it's his dog shit, but he's like, really doesn't look like dog shit, I know my dogs, they don't shit. Right. And it's like the whole thing, it took so long to get to like the punchline, which was that the baby actually moved its diaper and shit on.
And to get to that bit, you already have trust with him, right? Right. So he's already, it's not as open.
You have to make, you have to make people laugh before then.
Right, he got you there. So there is like, there's a little bit of thematic with it. Like if I do a long set, I like Ron White. He's one of my favorites.
And he's so funny too.
I keep the mic in the stand like him because I found myself jumping around too much ADD wise.
I can see that.
and I've gotten to open for him a couple of times and talk to him and stuff. And he's him, Chappelle, and Louis C.K. are like my top 3 for 20 years. But
you're not allowed to say about Louis C.K. He's canceled.
No, I know a little bit more about that. Not enough to put on a podcast, but
I'm only kidding anyway.
You can look how calculated, we were talking about with DeSantis, you can look how calculated that was to cancel him.
Oh, you don't even have to tell me. Like, I feel like, and it's not,
like, I wish he'd
I'm not even that hashtag believe her person. I'm like hashtag believe the truth. Let's excavate it. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I'm hashtag believe the evidence.
Put the shit out there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, Ron White, you like Ron White?
I like Ron White because he starts out with, if you watch his set, it's like a bunch of short jokes
that are
and
really
then he gets
funny.
into storytelling, and I think that's
important.
You build trust with the audience.
See, and like that thing was like I go in with nothing, but he goes in with the autumn. You go in with
doing this 15
right. That's what I'm
years.
saying.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. You're not really going in with nothing. You're going in with the idea of like I know how to establish trust with the audience. Automatic.
It's like the psychology behind people. And
I'm thinking Divine though, where you were talking about you only get 5 or 7 minutes or something like that.
I think it's 3 on Wednesdays. I'm pretty sure.
Because he's a newbie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm new there too. So.
Well, a new comic's probably going to get 3 minutes because.
Oh yeah.
That's all you need. I mean,
that's probably all.
Does it take really long?
If it went longer though, these people would be bombing it. Like some of them are funny, but some of them are like that 3 minutes is stretching it.
Yeah, you got to take swings too, and the first time you do it, yeah, I wouldn't want you there if it's would you say your husband or
my fiance?
Your fiance? Ooh.
Oh, he wants me there. He doesn't care. He can bomb it.
He's pretty shameless, though.
Oh, he's so shameless. He'll bomb it and
I was gonna say, nothing makes a guy
he'll be like,
more
right, round for everybody. F you
what
all.
What do you mean unfuckable?
If I'm dating a woman, I don't tell her to come up to a stand-up show unless I know it's like a good crowd. I know like I can go in and get out of there with a good kind of set.
That's so.
It's like watching a guy dancing.
Do you know who? I shouldn't name drop on this podcast, but it'll get out so much later that it doesn't even matter. Dan something. He plays guitar and this piano. He's like St. Pete-ish. Anyway, he's like a comedian. I guess he's like means something.
Dan Bash?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I matched with him on a dating app.
Woo.
And then he was like inviting me to his show, and I was like, "Do you need fans?" Like that's like weird to me. Like
I'll tell you why. It's way more logistical. It's because all our nights are spent going out doing stand-up.
Right.
So it's really tough. And for people that don't know stand-up, it is magical. So
totally.
You
Being
can't get
there.
a leg up.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, and
you drink for free, so it's probably a little bit of a cheaper date. I'm just saying.
Well, so but like to me, it's like I'm like not like it's not really my thing to be like I want to come observe what you do for a living because I'm just like that's cool. I would totally go see you if I have like an established interest in you.
You're too smart for that. By the way.
What? Too smart for what?
To go to one match with a guy on a stand-up show and then go see the first time you meet him.
Be his show, right? Exactly. Well, because you said it's kind of like the way to be like, look at me, I'm on stage, I'm very interesting. It's like
look
casting
at this magic.
Right.
And he does A material, which I would do the same thing.
He would do what?
His A material, like his best material.
Oh, really? That's like a real thing?
Well,
yeah, he's gonna impress you.
Oh, that's
How else
so
you
cute.
gonna get you home with
but
him?
No, ew, yuck. Not yuck to him, just yuck in general to that idea.
Ladies, who freshens up my cheers?
Brittany. After you finish talking.
Wait, you had a question.
So anyway, I was gonna ask you a question. So like, I was like thinking to myself like about it, and I was like,
"Are my shorts great?" I know this is an audio podcast.
Honestly, no. I feel like you've gotten more muscular since last time I've seen you, and also like maybe a little bit fatter, but also more muscular. Gains.
I'm both, probably.
Yeah, heavier. Anyway, so I was gonna say, is that like a thing that you've used on women as a comedian?
Yeah, for sure.
I would if I was funny. What? If I'm funny, you better come see me be funny. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, look, like dating, you're just trying to mitigate all the bad things in the beginning, right?
Right.
So it's like...
I feel like comedians are always the hottest men, if we're being honest.
They're not. You do comedy because you're usually the uggo.
Right. And you cope with it by making fun of everything.
You're either have a super traumatic childhood and or... you're kind of the, uggo kid in the class or something.
I mean...
So were you the... Were you the class clown?
I went to a Catholic high school where Bert Kreischer went, another comic. And I went class wit. We didn't have class clown. That's how hoity-toity we were. Yeah.
You were the class wit.
Class wit.
That's awesome.
Like you were named that? You got that superlative?
I have the plaque.
Oh my
I
god.
showed it to my kids the other day.
Official as heck.
Yeah, I was finding all this old stuff, and I was like, what do you do? I'd feel bad throwing away old, like, awards and stuff, or plaques, or whatever. And you're just like...
I read all my cheerleading trophies, like, immediately. I was like, these are meaningless.
A participation trophy, like you got in cheerleading. Yeah. I would throw those away for sure.
Some of them were winning competitions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I still have mine in my mom's like attic because
It
I
wasn't
refused.
on me. I wasn't the reason we won, for sure. I was in the back, but
Yeah.
we still won.
Well, someone's got to hold up the other chicks, right?
Right, exactly. Fuck you.
They're very important people. I was that person too, and I was really good, so we're not going to make fun of those people.
First of all,
okay? I'm just
I didn't
saying.
choose to be born 5'8" and thick. That
Thank
wasn't
you.
my... God did that.
I'll throw the shit out of some girls, though.
I basket toss the shit out of
That's
you.
it.
Look, with great leg power comes great responsibility.
That's it.
Anyway, so I...
Thank you for the drink, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome, of course. You know, after then you just called me fat, so it's fine.
Well, you called them fat first. Innocent fat.
Yeah, your shots fired first. By the way, I don't heckle I don't go out to heckle anybody, but if someone comes at me, then it's game on. I get excited. If your boo is up, you're Beyonce with an F, Beyonce.
Oh my god, go ahead.
That's how she used to tell my friend, another comedian from Houston, used to tell a story on stage about how Beyonce. That's how she'd tell people her name. It's like fiance with a B.
That's so.
It's a little fun fact. But anyway, if I see like your husband or your future husband getting heckled on stage, I'm like, yes. I get like a rush out of it because I'm like, I want them to come at me if I'm after him. I don't know what that is, but.
Well, I told
because
them
it makes it easier. It's like almost like it animates you, right?
Well, it brings me back to my shit talking days in college and high school with all my guy friends. It's like I got 8 years of this at least. So
I think that's what he would want too, just off the top, because he's real quick and witty like that. I think he would like the off
He's
the top.
very wordy.
Heckly.
He's very wordy, so I feel like he's going to be a very
But I
successful.
told him I'm not
He's not a
fake
good
laughing, and I will take off my ring and like put it in my pocket
Right.
until we leave. I'm not fake laughing for you, and I'm not getting the crowd hyped.
Good.
So you better do it on your own, and I will
don't
support
fuck
the
him.
hell out
Don't
of you.
fuck him.
And then I'll right.
Wow. Don't bang him for at least a month. No matter what.
That's a punishment to yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Don't listen to him.
Yeah, no, just till we like leave the vicinity, and then like
Oh,
we're all
so
good
you
again.
Go bang in the parking lot.
Yeah, on the way home, yeah. Before we get back to the kid, because we got a toddler.
Job, he'll get banged in the parking lot only.
What if he does a bad job? How unfuckable is he?
Oh, he's not. He's awesome.
Okay.
He's too great.
He really is.
He's actually just funny in real life, so I don't
I've
care.
asked him if I'm allowed to marry him too, but she's like, I don't know.
I told you,
problem.
you can't marry him because we're not splitting the assets, but you can like not
I
legally.
can be in on that.
Yeah.
You could be like you could be like a Full House situation.
That's what I'm trying to. I really am.
Yeah.
This man's been paying for my coffee every Saturday morning when I wake up over there. He's like, here's $10.
Why are you waking up over there?
Yeah, good question.
That's a whole other story.
Not information for the podcast.
Not for the podcast. Anyway, so
Start hijacking.
the Bine on Wednesdays. If anybody else wants to come join us, Law, we need you.
When
to
does
get
this
up there.
come out?
That's a whole other situation where
We're still in the process of.
Are we just having girls chat?
yeah, at this
Pretty
point, this has gone way off.
No, we have honestly like probably 7 episodes for season 4. We just haven't released
Oh,
yet.
you're doing them in
So,
seasons. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we've been both kind of going through. I took a month off to go up north, visit my family, and she's been having some stuff going on. So we decided we were just ending our last season.
As you
We were
will
going to
do.
really revamp.
I was supposed to go hang out with him, and I got screamed at to a point that I had to like hang up with him, and he was like, "Are you dead? Can you please confirm?"
Yeah.
you're
Which is
alive?"
why she's been staying with me on Saturday nights because I'm
Gotcha.
like, come to my house, girl. So,
Yeah.
yeah, nothing crazy.
Please don't
but-
die.
There's definitely some concern going on when we're talking on the phone.
So we're like, this is a perfect time to revamp our stuff, get some episodes under our belt, and,
bang 'em
and
up.
come out with a bang. And honestly, all of our episodes have been gold. I can't wait for season 4 to drop.
including this one.
yeah.
There's insight into how to be a comic.
What else?
Makes
What else
comic.
do you want to know? We'll make sure.
No, I was gonna say. So I think our other most important question that we always like to wrap up with.
Again, it's not big, but it gets the job.
Oh my God.
If you don't stop with the dick jokes, they're not even funny.
How
Wait, it's actually
we
hilarious.
Both laugh. Yeah.
Oh my God, I hate that I'm laughing because you
It's
guys
like
can't see this
so
on the audio,
childish.
but I'm missing a tooth, and like it's really making me not want to laugh. We have a fucking comedian here, and we're like in person.
I've just been looking in the hole.
I know everybody. I keep trying
you're
to.
not supposed to say that.
Oh, I don't care. I make fun of myself at this point because I don't. Really give a
Also,
shit.
can we? I want to.
Only because you brought it up before.
I had to bring it up
Here's
because-
something you wouldn't have brought up or thought about, but I'm going to bring it to your attention. This is like you go on stage and they go, "All right, you got to be squeaky clean." You're like, "You need to tell me that shit before." I'm like, no. I walked into like.
All I want to say is fuck.
Corporate gigs, and they're like, "All right, you got to be squeaky clean." I'm like, everybody's eating at the table. This is the worst scenario. You have like a Bob Barker microphone attached to a podium, and you're like, I can't take the fucking. Okay, yeah, I'll keep it clean, and I just go, hey, the first thing I'll go now. This took me a couple times of trying to do that, trying to keep it clean for whoever the booker is, and then now I just go up and I go, hey, I'm supposed to keep this set pretty clean. How about I not? Would you guys like that? And they're like, yeah. And then it's like, all right, let's talk about when I went down on a squirter.
And that's your first joke.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah.
Which is similar to chewing nicotine gum, apparently. Gross.
Gives me a little pep in my step.
Wait, real quick. What's the inspiration behind your podcast? Why did you start it? When and like how did that come to fruition?
So I had my own business advisory / digital agency called Tokabaga for about 5 years, and a lot of it was just I always want to learn from others that have been there in the entrepreneurial way. So
Amen.
I thought this is a reason to.
Make them talk to me.
Well, in a weird way, like I wouldn't have a lot of conversations with people if I wasn't like, hey, would you come on our show and kind of impart your wisdom, you know?
People love that. It's so flattering.
It is.
That's how we got you here. Actually, I don't know. It was all Brittany. I have no idea.
No, it's my tits. It's
Okay,
Yeah, she
that works too.
flashed
One or the other. We have both. You need
So I'm in kind of if you're in digital marketing, that was a lot of my focus. Like you have to kind of be autodidactic, and you always have to keep learning and kind of learning from others because there's no continuing education that's formal with it. And so part of it was that. Part of it was like I needed a marketing tactic to at least get something out about what I'm doing because a lot of people knew me as a comic and not on this side, on the professional side. And then
You're not serious.
I am when it gets to business, but it's like if it's someone's real, business that they're coming in for. My friend calls me a business therapist because a lot of people would come in and just spill everything out, and that kind of became a little bit of the niche. Having a lot of attorneys as clients too, but then also like I needed a place to kind of, other than on stage, to kind of get out. I was about to have my first kid. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to get on stage a lot, so I needed that creative outlet too. Mm-hmm. And thank God I have it because now I can come, if we don't have a guest, I'll just have like, here's 10 things I've written down that I'm just annoyed about. And just
Talk about it.
We'll riff with Eric about it, yeah. And Eric, my co-host, we've never been in a fight.
He's not funny.
Okay.
Well, damn.
Is he supposed to be a comedian? Is he a comedian?
He's funny, but we have kind of a shtick going. So.
I feel like he's like the straight guy though.
Well, his thing is like to never laugh at anything I do on air, which is kind of funny in itself. So if I get something that I get him to laugh about, I'm like, oh, that's got legs. But yeah, he's not a comedian.
Okay.
He's done it a few times, but he wouldn't call himself one. But him and we worked together 6 years and never been in a fight. And he was working for me in my office, so it was kind of awesome when we'd be in the office working and be like, hey, at like 1 o'clock, let's just knock out an episode.
Bank out an
Yeah.
episode. That's awesome.
To kind of take a break from sitting on a computer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And we think about it all the time. We're just like, hey, we should just record our podcast every night.
Well, you guys are on the way to moving in with each other. I feel it.
Yeah, and then this thing's just going to take the hell off. We're going to have to book more guests at this point because...
just gonna have so much availability to,
and all we do is talk already, so there's that.
Yeah, y'all should be going on other people's podcasts.
We should do that more. We just we haven't
had the time. We're finally getting to the point where we can like carve out the time. Well, at least for me, I can't speak for you, but I feel like
I'm just able to carve myself out of my life. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna mansplain, but break your. If you're getting flustered with time. I do this all the time. My mentor told me to do this. It's really dorky, but write out your day in 15-minute increments on a piece of notebook paper. Do that for a week. Write it out in the morning or the night before. Write every
15-minute increments, that's like short.
Right. But that's the point. You'll realize how much time you actually have in the day.
Oh, 100%.
We do a lot of double talk. We do a lot of like thinking about doing and not doing. That knocks me out of that bad habit.
Yeah, actually, one of the people we've had on for season 4 was talking about there's energy leaks where you just need to stop them up. You just need to stop them up, and you'll have all this energy, or just kick the energy fucking vampires out of your life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
For sure.
That creates a whole new. I was telling someone, I'm
They
I'm
suck.
more available emotionally now because I don't feel like I'm
Drop the
performing for
bags.
other people. Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of what it does. It gives you kind of a ledger of like, is this worth my time or not?
So are you inviting us on your podcast?
Yeah, y'all are welcome on anytime.
Hello.
Yeah.
We'll laugh at your jokes.
Maybe.
Maybe not if Eric hears this, but yeah. But yeah.
We'll
By
save
the
this
way,
episode.
Only Brittany said that, by the
Brittany's
way.
been on a few times.
Not a few times, once, but
Once?
just once. Yeah.
I feel like it was more than once.
No, it was just one time.
Or maybe I was on y'all's.
No, you weren't on ours.
Uh-huh.
You just were just around a lot of the times that we were there. So.
I just helped y'all get your podcast started.
I mean, it's fine. I actually only
You realize I'm the genesis of this thing.
Okay,
don't
We
you?
would be nothing without you,
He was
Sir
connected
Law.
to Mel, my friend Mel, who just got married.
Yeah.
He was connected to her.
Gotcha.
And so that's how I met him. And then he just used to roast me all the time and pretend I liked anal, and that was his shtick.
That's a really good way to meet, though. I like
I
it.
didn't pretend. You brought it up.
No, he's making that
But
up.
play Brittany, dude.
Oh, that's really good. I
Don't
can make you a
say
shirt
that.
says that.
That's what she does for a living. Don't give her ideas.
If I give you a shirt
Am I
that
really?
says "But play Brittany,"
Well, I have you dignified as Law Podcast Man.
That's fine. But play Brittany's
you're just
a
numbers
great
in my
name.
phone. So.
Oh, great.
We got some alliteration in there.
Oh, good. I hope I texted you when you were dating that blondie. That would be fun. But play Brittany's hitting you up. Anyway, okay. So our last.
Allie, she wouldn't care.
Okay, so our last question that we like to ask people is.
It gets the job done.
Okay, no,
Oh my
stop.
God.
I'm gonna kill myself.
Please don't.
I'm finally at suicide ideation. I've sunk lower than you officially.
I will pull you out.
So anyway, if you could go back to before your divorce and give yourself some sentence of clarity, like go back to the you that you were before you broke.
Knowing
through
all that you know now.
Yeah.
What would you say to you?
Oh, it sounds like a familiar question. It's something we ask on our podcast.
No, you don't.
They do something similar.
At the
I
end-
just want to
This is
clarify
your
that this is
question.
my question, and I just became a fan today. Damn
Thank
it.
you. At the end, well, you didn't make it to the end of the podcast.
And we're also,
I did not.
and
I
we're
cut
al-
them both short.
And we're also both entrepreneur-minded
Right.
podcasts. So it kind of makes sense.
We ask everybody the first time on our show if you could go back in time to when you were 13, you get in a Bill and Ted excellent adventure like phone booth. You can go back in time and talk to yourself at 13. Grab yourself by the lapels. What would you tell yourself?
Dang, you worded
That's
it way
cute.
better than I did.
We've
I'm
done it a
taking
lot.
it.
Okay, but that's cute. That's cute. But like ours is really, I think it's important because it's like we're talking about like the moment before your most like what you think
The
is
glass
most
ceiling.
traumatic event.
That, don't lose your sense of self. That's where I really got fucked up.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like to most of the people we ask this question, they're like, "Oh, that was a good one." I don't know, but he's had so much time to prepare.
I've thought about it a lot.
I bet you have. I feel kind of cheated on this one.
It wasn't exciting.
But go ahead. I do want to hear.
I lost my sense of self. I'm not codependent in any way, really. But I guess I did think my then wife was a better reflection of me than I was, not realizing she was going through probably postpartum depression and anxiety, allegedly. I'll say that for legal reasons or whatever. Because I don't know what she was really going through. I never really got down to it, even when I suggested it a few times. And I didn't know there was postpartum anxiety. I knew about postpartum depression.
Oh, it's much more common for it to manifest in anxiety or rage.
And a lot of trauma from her childhood, I could feel kind of came to fruition, and it was nothing that I could do. But I reminded her of her dad that passed away when she was younger, and she was adopted. So there's stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that unraveled, I think, when we had kids.
Well, when you're in a safe relationship and you're a child of trauma, it's almost automatic that all the shit that you haven't dealt with comes up because you're finally in a space that you can process
Release it, yeah.
And if you don't realize that about yourself, like, oh, I'm actually safe here and it's okay for me to go through this and I don't have to blame it on anyone.
Yeah. And the pragmatic thing I'd say is like get on a sleep schedule because I wasn't sleeping and it was fucking me up. I was like delirious a lot.
It's a really
Sleep
good one.
hygiene,
Yeah.
bitches.
Yeah.
Have some sleep hygiene.
Yeah,
Sure.
I was like sleeping 3 hours a night a lot of the time, 3 days in a row, and then I'd crash hard. And we had 2 kids that were 13 months apart.
Oh, you guys were back to back. Just
Right.
Damn.
And it was one of those things. The business was doing well that I had, but she didn't really get it. And I could have, but we would have ended up in the same place at some point anyway.
Right.
You were
Right. Do you feel like
supposed
she
to.
took you for granted in the relationship?
Maybe. She thinks it's the other way around, for sure.
So you guys still aren't on good terms.
As long as we don't talk. As long as she doesn't do this.
Okay.
For now, don't come to my comedy show though. Well, thank you so much, Law, for agreeing to do this and eating all of our snacks.
It was good. I made fun of the gluten cookies beforehand, but
They're pretty good,
or
right?
gluten-free cookies, I should say.
They're grain-free, even.
Grain-free?
Not even any grain.
No sugar, no grain?
Right?
Is there sugar in there?
They're basically air
There's
cookies
no
and they're
sugar.
really good.
There's
What
no
am I
refined
eating?
sugar. You don't
You're
even
like,
know.
these are old
Are they
pogs?
good or not?
I'm not
pogs
healthy,
from
so don't ask me.
These are pogs from the 90s. We made them look like cookies. I don't know.
Well, thank you for being on our show. We appreciate it, kind of. Was enough dick jokes for the entire
she can't
season.
be nice to me. I don't get it.
I can't.
I'm not
be
even
nice
gonna
to
try to make her because we love Brittany for all that she is.
I know.
So we appreciate you
I saw
so
that
much.
on the billboard. Don't love the people for who you want them to be. Love them for who they are.
Amen to that. And Law, we love you
I
for
love
who
you.
you are.
New
I'm so
friend.
happy to have met you.
And I'll see you on Wednesday.
What's Wednesday?
Oh,
yes!
God.
I was gonna say, are we going on your podcast on Wednesday? Is that already?
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, I can't wait.
We'll get you all on ours. I'll send the booking link.
All right, yay.
I'll put it on my fanny pack.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to my podcast, Daily Dose of B. I really hope you liked it. If you did, leave me a 5-star review. You know the drill. It'll help bump me in the algos, and I will love you forever. Have a great one.